Alright guys, it's been like absolute ping pong around here today, but I've been working on this D-17, trying to get this manifold on here because the old one was bad, had a horrible exhaust leak on 4 and a minor one on 1, but it sounds better now than it has since I've owned it. It might actually be a tractor someday. Sounds too bad. I really ought to time this thing with a light one of these days. Might do that. Doesn't sound too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Been fighting with that valve stem. That's the second extension I've had in there because it was losing calcium chloride, and that's not a good situation. Hopefully the one I put in there this morning will seal up. So that's the D-17 aspect of the day. Over here, and I haven't actually done anything with this today, so all I've done with this is walk around it. But you can see I got the meter out. Dave, if you're watching, I've about been at my wit's end trying to troubleshoot this. But I have deduced that this power pack, I believe they call that, CDI ignition, whatever, is bad. So I have a part coming. Hopefully that'll get our little 15 horse Evinrude back in working order. I really want to use this for some fishing this year. We're going to let the 17 run a while. I said in today's video that this was moving to the top of the list, and it did. This is one of the new shares that I got off Kenny. I have a new shin. I had 2 new shins. I'm gonna probably go ahead and finish changing the shares today because they're the ones that are on are just junk. And I'll change, I don't know. I started to change that back one and I got farmered on that deal. Whoever put that land side on there used a long bolt and a square-headed nut, and yeah, I don't know. Reed called me from the farm store, and the studs that I ordered for that manifold job came in. I actually got some used ones when I bought that manifold at clearance the other day, so that's what I used to put that one together. Got to change the manifold on that other 17, so I got to go get those studs one of those days because they'll probably need them. While we were talking, I had him dig into the archives to see if he could find some more wear parts for that Oliver plow for me, because over here, this is the handle for the one adjustment you have on that. My mind is blank right now. Basically, it's your leveling adjustment, and it's had better days. I'm gonna bend that back down and braze that, and I will film that. Hopefully that's clean enough the bronze will stick to it. And I'm just going to use a piece of number 9 wire to make the link, and I'll show that process too. I'll bring you back when we get going. I kicked the fans up on high today, or higher, and I'll tell you what, that makes a pretty good breeze in here. All right, guys. We got our little handle set up in the vise there. We're just gonna gently massage it back to where, closer to where it's supposed to be. Get Mike's version of the red pliers. I'm a little perplexed all of a sudden. Improvising on the fly here. I might have to consult with some of my Oliver people and see if somebody's got a nicer one of these. We're going to go ahead and attempt to make this usable. We'll have the actual number 9 wire we're going to make that link out of. It's a little bit uglier than I thought. It's probably not a big deal. I mean, it's not like you adjust this handle constantly or anything, so I don't know, guys. We're gonna see if the bronze will stick to it. Guess it may or it may not. Bad thing about brazing is if you're not clean enough, that stuff just runs off like water off a duck's back. I've got a number 2 tip on the torch because this is pretty thin stuff. I killed the fans in here, although I've got the door open to let some of the exhaust from the D-17 out. Yeah, it's not taking a lot to get it warm, so we'll dab a little bronze on here and see what happens. Actually doesn't look too bad. Actually. Pretty happy with that, guys. And I think that the bronze actually got through the cracks enough. I was gonna hit it again on the inside, but I don't think I'm even gonna do that. I think we're just gonna shut the tanks off on the torch, set that right there to cool. We're gonna call that a deal. I'm gonna say that's one of my better brazing efforts for a while. I don't know. I wrote that on there, Oliver 419, and that's what bottoms that plow has on it. I'm gonna change the other 3 shares. What time is it? 2:30. Change those other 3 shares, and I'm gonna put the one shin is ready to go on. We'll raise it back up on the air so we're not working on the ground. That cleaned up pretty good. So I'll get that new shin on there, and number 1 bottom will be ready to plow. Like I say, I'll probably change the rest of the shares and put that shin on. I don't know. I may go ahead and fight with that back one. I've already got the easy bolt out of it. Of course, take about 2 seconds to take the easy bolt out of the other two, either of the other two. So I don't know. They all got to be changed. I'm not going to run them like that. Reed's working on getting parts, so I'll bring you back later on. Hopefully we get that thing cooled off, and well, I guess I could show you my method for straightening wire. It's not real complicated. I got a nice pair of leather gloves here. Let's just go ahead and use them. When I was much younger and building fishing lures like a fanatic, and I didn't think the industry used heavy enough wire, I went and bought 071 stainless steel wire in rolls to make my musky bucktails, and you can get 062 in pre-straightened lengths, but basically, well, this stuff is going to be easy because it's soft. I mean, it's like butter soft. That stainless, it took a long time to make a straight, a wire straight enough that you wanted to use it as a shaft for a bucktail, but that's a pretty good start on that, I guess. I just do it by hand, and I may pound on that a little bit with a hammer. And I don't know, we got a drill press table here. I have a nice anvil that's gonna come in this building eventually, but I gotta get a block of wood to set it on. I got some coaching from one of my Red Power Forum buddies that knows more about blacksmithing than I would ever pretend to, and he told me, basically you want the top of the anvil, this drill press is about perfect, just so that when you strike, your hammer's flat. So I measured the anvil and figured out how tall a piece of oak block I needed, and then all the oak went to firewood, and so we're on the back burner with that. We'll get there someday. This doesn't have to be perfect, but straighter is better for something like this. When I was making fishing lures, I used round nose pliers to make a nice round bend. Another way to do that with heavier wire, just a bolt the right size, like a 5/16, would be fantastic for this endeavor. I'll point you back at the vise here a little bit. It'd be interesting to see how this footage comes out. We'll just, actually, 2 would be better yet. And we really don't need these gloves. So, this is a quickie, poor man's cheap wire bender. Now, I don't know if you guys were much able to see how that went, but anyway, we got a reasonably round bend there. Got to figure out how we need to do that. Let's see. I think it's just going to go like that. Maybe we hook it from the inside. Well, anyway, that's cool enough anyway, so I can hold on to it. I've got to figure out how long, and then we'll make the bend on the other end, and we'll get that thing back up in the air, change them shares, and just be a big old day around here. All right, so here's the first bottom. I went ahead and put that shin on there, and of course, this is the new share. Even though it's rusty, these are pretty sure they're brand new. They just sat around and rusted, but mold board has apparently got a little more wear than I at first thought, but not enough that we're going to buy new mold boards. We come into some cheap somewhere, okay. This edge being high doesn't bother me near as much as if this edge, you know, if it was the other way around, because the dirt flows this way. This won't be a drag on horsepower. I'm gonna say it'll be interesting to plow with a plow with 4 brand new shares on it. At least I think they're brand new. Maybe they're something somebody ran and took off, but they're a whole lot better than this. I don't see a lot of point in putting that bolt back in that land side, because those are going to get changed. This probably isn't an OSHA approved deal, but this is how we're working on it, because working on it on the ground isn't much fun. These nuts are left-hand thread, so keep that in mind when you're changing your all-over plowshares. Just to add a little bit of confusion to this matter, I think, I don't know, we'll see if this thing will even stand up. Got wonderful wind again today. I don't know, maybe we shorten up the tripod a little bit, set you in the boat. I don't know. See how that is. That's why I brought this boat out here, to be a workbench. So, since you're kind of, I don't know, maybe we'll do the third bottom next. Our 11/16 socket here. 11/16 socket here. And left-hand thread, keep that in mind. And the fun part is the nuts always stick. first share that I put on had nuts on all the bolts. Some of these do and some of them don't, but these nuts are in good enough shape that we'll have plenty to get by. Left-handed, I don't know. They might be hard to come by. I like to scrape as much of this hook off of here as I can get so the stuff will lay down flat. Over here, I have a hammer and a little chisel. I ought to have safety glasses if I have brains. Is that the Wizard of Oz where the one guy, the straw man, was saying if I only had a brain? It's been a long time since I watched that movie, but you know. That's good enough, folks. This one doesn't have any nuts on it. These bolt heads are just a little proud. When I clean them up, I will work them with the flap wheel. I like them to be smooth with the surface of the whatever share in this instance. Shin, mold board, same thing. I like for them to be flush. Left hand grip. Seeing this video that this rather large chunk of iron didn't fall and kill me. If it does fall and kill me, you obviously won't see this video. I can't figure anybody's going to finish it. I don't know. Mike's probably got that good a sense of humor if he found a camera and knew how to work it. And yes, this is just a 3/8 impact, but there's no doubt in my mind it will twist those bolts right off of there, given an opportunity. So get them tight, but don't kill them. looking good. I'm gonna give you a view of my consternation, and then we'll time warp the rest of this deal. That square-headed nut, which I took the wire brush to it, and I sprayed some Zep on it, but you can't get on that with anything but an open-end wrench. And there will be much cussing to get that out, I will guarantee you. But at any rate, it is what it is. That's not the first time I've run into some kind of a farmer fix like that, cussed for days. We try not to do a lot of cussing on here because I don't know how to edit the animal sounds in. Maybe someday we'll learn how to do that. But it's easier to just not say the words, even though you want to so very badly. All right, well, it says we got 29% battery left. That's yellow. That's not too bad, I suppose. This is the plow update. I decided to just leave it here. Not sure why. I pretty much got all the parts on it that I have to put on it. I've got this single arm coulter that I was going to experiment with, but thinking it may be too big. Where I really want it is on the back. Of course, I can move the mount forward a couple inches. I don't know. I left that problem bolt out of the land sides on the front three because there's no point in putting it back in. I'm going to change the land sides and got to come back out. This seems to be working pretty good. I'll get my oil can on there with my used oil in it. It'll be great. I greased the tail wheel a little bit. I almost think I heard it say thank you. So we're kind of moving right along on this, but we're going to slow right down because now we're waiting on Reed to get us some parts. That's okay. Yeah, we're waiting on parts for that. I happen to think I took a junk shin over and threw it in the scrap, and I thought, seems like I saved one. I thought two, but turns out one. I took that off of, I think, the 414 565. And that's actually pretty good shin. We could use that in a pinch. I really don't want to, but that still leaves us one short. I pulled a really good trick today. That's why there's a Band-Aid on that finger. This is not the offending bolt. I had to use the red pliers to get it out, but what I did was, it was in the shin, like, so, and like an idiot, had my finger on it, hit the trigger on the impact, and it spun. And those things, all those years of dirt going over them, they're sharp as a razor blade, and you know it right away. Well, that was stupid, but you can't call it back, so you staunch the bleeding and you go get a Band-Aid. I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching.